And welcome back to another great edition of The Hit. He is back this week as the co-host. So I'm Logan Graffia. He's Calvin Rons. It's good to have you back, Calvin, after a short and brief absence. But Rail filled in your spot last week, and she did a fantastic job. Can't wait to have her back. And I can assure you that Calvin, she is not going to be taking your place, even
No,
though
I was upset, man. I was upset that I missed it. I was so mad. I was like, oh man, I ain't gonna be able to make it. But she gonna hold it down. She always holds it down. Shout out to
she
Rel. Rel,
she
shout out to you. You know I was looking forward to talking to you, but we'll get there. We'll get there.
we'll have her on probably around the playoff time. I mean, we'll have her back soon. But let's get right into it, Calvin. Let's talk about some stuff that's in the news. We're going to talk about the Saints first. We'll talk about the Pelicans a little bit later. So the Saints are making some cap moves right now, Calvin, to get out of that hole that they've constantly been in for the last few years. I mean, they restructured Will Lutz's contract. They did a smattering of other moves. They did Tyrann Mathieu just recently, Ryan Ramczyk. So, Calvin, with all these cap moves, do you think there is a possibility that they could be making all this room to maybe offer a Derek Carr that 35 million that he should so desire,
Well,
or is it for something else?
I don't. When it comes to the Saints, I don't understand cap that much. Like everyone thinks you have a great understanding of cap, right? If you have negative cap, you cannot sign people unless you sign them for a vet minimum or whatever. But for the Saints, that's just not how that works. It's like we're just gonna keep on kicking the can down the road until that road becomes a dead end, and we don't know when it becomes a dead end. It doesn't exist when it comes to us. Um, so right now, I think the move before we do anything is just get to cap compliance. That's what we're seeing here. Just get over the cap thing. We're like minus 30 million right now. Which, if you restructure Marshawn, you restructure Cam, that should be enough or close to enough to get you to cap compliance. And then after that, you can figure out what you want to do with Mike. That might be depending on what we do at quarterback.
And it's the crazy that you bring that up about the third getting us over that hump. So the two moves that I've been talking to a few people, and there's two moves that can make perfectly good sense to get us in the positive. I mean, if you designate Andres Pete and Jameis Winston as post June 1 cuts, you save a round, I want to say 30 million, and they get you over that hump. I mean, Dennis Allen doesn't see a future with Jameis Winston. Andres Pete has been hit or miss every single year we've gotten him since we drafted him. So could those two players being post June 1 cuts be the move, Calvin? I mean, instead of restructuring Marshawn or Cameron Jordan or any, would that not be the easier route?
I think either way, you would have to still restructure Marshawn and Cam and all of them just because you go with cap compliance, you still want to have some operating room. You also got to draft your rookies and stuff like that. Um, the Pete thing surprised me. People forget Pete is like a 3-time, 4-time Pro Bowler. All right, we
I
clown.
don't know how.
We don't know how, but he is a 3-time, 4-time Pro Bowler. But so is what's his name, Tyler Huntley. So I mean, I guess
Oh,
take it with a grain of salt nowadays. But uh, yeah, the Pete thing is surprised me, especially since we don't really have anything at that position to back him up. Really, we have I forgot the dude's name. I think it's like Kid or something like that. Uh,
yeah, Lewis Kidd. I think he was a third stringer. He made the he there was a roster bubble and he made it. I was actually mad that he made it and Abram Smith didn't, but Abrams in the XFL now killing it. But go
I mean, hey,
continue, Cal.
considering what we needed this year, I mean, you can never have too many offensive linemen or D linemen, so I
True.
wasn't mad at it at all. And clearly, we're going to need bodies. I would rather this be like a Larry Warford type situation where we draft another guy and then we say, all right, well, peace out, Pete. You know, because Larry Warford was solid, and I
He
still think
was.
that he was better than Cesar Ruiz, at least Cesar Ruiz's first 2 years. Um, Pete's definitely surprised me though. I mean, they could cut Pete. Would I be mad? No, not really. I think we overpaid him anyway. Um, but as for Jameis, the Jameis thing's a little tricky because while we may not see a future for him, we do have him under a contract that's for quarterbacks of his caliber. I'm not going to necessarily say he's a starting caliber quarterback, but I mean, if you had to choose between Andy Dalton, him, and whoever else back at quarterback, I mean, it is what it is, and the contract is friendly-ish, especially if he starts. But like I said, I think that will really depend on what happens with the quarterback market. If we feel as if Lamar is going to ask for a trade, which he probably won't, who knows, and we feel like we can go get him. If we feel as if Derek Carr is going to come here, if we just swing and miss on all of that, I don't really see a free agent worth going to go get. It's for the price of Jameis, so you might see us keep him just for cap purposes. But we don't know. He's probably out of here. I'm sure if Jameis is here, Mike is probably gonna be like, all right, well, I'm not even interested in re-signing or anything. Just get me out of here. But yeah, you did talk about Will Lutz. He actually changed his contract. He lowered his salary, which I'm glad because I don't think he was worth the money after this season. He was just kind of,
He had an off year. He had an off year.
Another
It seems like
year.
Yeah, it seems like everybody had an off year this year, and I mean, it's just crazy. Like, it's even crazy to say that Tyron might have had an off year, but I mean,
All
he was
first
one
half.
the first half of the season. Yeah, first half of the season, Tyron had an off year, but I mean, then after that, he looked like the Tyron of old, and man. But the thing that you brought up with with Jameis, and then just the quarterbacks in terms of you swing and miss, do you keep him around, and then if you keep him around, Michael Thomas is probably gone because Michael Thomas, I mean, said his frustrations on Twitter, but then deleted the tweet about how he didn't really care for Jameis at quarterback in a manner of speaking. But there's two scenarios I have, Calvin, and both of them I feel are the most likely scenarios. And I think you see me tweet this. And this is just stuff I'm hearing. This is the two likely scenarios. You have Carr and Hendon Hooker after you draft him. Or if you swing for Derek Carr and you miss, you can have Andy Dalton. The scenario two is Andy Dalton and Hendon Hooker. I still think that Hendon Hooker finds a way onto this team, whether that be in the second or third round, because we've already seen on Twitter that they've met extensively with him, and then the other teams that apparently that's met with them, they don't need a quarterback. So he makes the most sense for the Saints, and I still believe that okay, Carr, Hendon, or Dalton, Hendon, either way, I don't think those two scenarios are bad scenarios. I'm not saying it's A plus material scenarios, but I think that's the odds of that happening are pretty high. And if you was watching the HBCU Legacy Bowl that just happened yesterday, as the time that we're recording this, Jameis Winston kind of was talking. It was asking, he was like, "I'm not a free agent yet," meaning okay. I think he knows he's probably going to be cut. I mean, he said he wants to be a starter still, and Dennis Allen and Pete Carmichael have kind of made that clear that they don't want him to. So you'd only assume that he's gone, Calvin, right?
Well, not based off of that. I feel like that's just people looking too deep into it. I mean, he didn't really say. He was just kind of being facetious about it. Really, he was just kind of like, "Man, I'm not free agent yet. Like, come on, guys. Like, I'm still in a contract. He is under contract for another year. People do forget that. So, he didn't say anything that to me warranted him saying, "Oh, I'm trying to get out of here," or "I know they're gonna cut me." Like, he's just like, "Look, I'm still in the contract. I haven't been cut yet or anything. And like as of today, I'm still the same, and I'm just trying to get healthy." Which I don't see anything wrong with that because that is true. I mean, he's still here, and he's still the same, and he's trying to get healthy. But yeah, I think as far as the quarterback situation goes, since you brought it up, I've already voiced my opinion on if we get Derek Carr, I'm not really too keen on getting Hendon Hooker because I don't want Hendon Hooker's career to be wasted, right? I don't want anybody. I think Jordan Love's career is being wasted away behind Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers keeps on playing that organization like he's some sort of god or something, and it's really upsetting because Jordan Love could have been developed by now, but he's still bad because he's just been sitting behind a guy that to me doesn't even really care to help him out that much and just only cares about himself. But if you get Derek Carr, you're going to get him for at least 2 to 3 years. All right. Now, let's say that works out because if Derek Carr comes here, he's probably in the top 10 of quarterbacks for the NFC because the NFC right now doesn't have that great of a quarterback scenario right now, or at least they're all kind of,
especially the NFC South.
Yeah, especially the NFC South. I mean, you're going against Desmond Ridder and Kyle Trask. I'm hearing he's going to be the starter next year. I hope that's the case. I've been waiting on that, and whatever the Panthers decide to do, I mean, their quarterback class right now is pretty, but um, yeah, I wouldn't really draft Hendon for that. I think I would go on like a more of a project guy. I'm going to throw out Lindsey. I don't think Lindsey's that much of a project guy, but you know, if he's if there's a quarterback there in the third or fourth round that you like, get him. Um, but having a quarterback sit behind Derek Carr, let's say Derek Carr works out, right? Derek Carr is what, 31? All right, in 3 years, he's 34. If you protect him well, his injuries are low. What do you do then? He does good. You resign him, right? I mean, then at that point, you don't really need. At that point, we're just drafting a backup, and I'm not in the business of drafting backups. I'm drafting guys who can make an immediate impact because this team has a little more holes than what people think. So Henniger would be cool, I suppose, but to me, that's if we don't get Derek Carr. If we get Andy Dalton back or whoever Jameis, then yeah, you go ahead and draft these guys because at some point, one of those guys is getting benched. Jameis and Andy, they're both gonna get benched. Whoever's starting. But yeah, I think we have to definitely watch out for quarterback situation because that to me tells me what Mike's gonna do. Mike also cleared his Instagram. For those who don't know, I don't know if he put everything back, but he's being emotional again. We know how he is. I remember last year on the podcast, I said he was just being emotional. He wasn't going to ask for a trade, and I turned out to be right. He was just being emotional. Like, it is what it is. But with him, he has to lower his salary. I think that's just the only way. He got to do like Will Lutz, say, hey, look, I understand. I've been hurt. I'm getting like what 40-something million like from y'all. So I mean, hey, I get it. Lower that down to like 30. That'll help us out a lot. But yeah, man, quarterback's in this position though.
Most definitely. If I'm not mistaken, I think they already lowered Michael Thomas's cap number already, but
just for this year. Just for this year.
Just
so we can save money in case we decide what to do with him before June 1st or whatever it is.
June 1st is the day that either Buku cap clears or it doesn't. But we have to move on to the other topic that we discussed earlier on, Kevin, the New Orleans Pelicans. And with this, I am just speechless because I cannot believe that after the hot start that we had, Zion goes down, and now we're sitting at 30 and 31, looking at like what could possibly be a 41 and 41 type of season, which I mean isn't bad, but isn't good. 500 type of season. But Calvin, I might just let you take the mic on this one because you already kind of told me like off the record how you wanted to voice your frustrations about what's going on with the team, and not just Willie, but just the team in general. So before you go off, I just got to ask, do you think Willie has to make some changes on his coaching staff? Not Fred Vincent, keep him. I mean, do you think they should go after someone like a Nate McMillan to be like head coach number 2? I mean, they're like right-hand man.
I mean, Willie has to make changes to himself. All right, he has to make changes to himself, and I definitely think adding a coach. Go talk to Mike D'Antoni. I keep saying it. He's in the building. Go talk to the man. Like, if anybody knows offense, it's Mike D'Antoni. Go talk to Mike D'Antoni. So we may not even need to go get a Nate McMillan. Just like give Mike D'Antoni promotion. Like tell him to stop eating gumbo and just chilling. Like, come on. Like, let's talk to you at practice. Let me help me figure this out. But I put in the group chat last night. I said as far as Willie Green, because I'm starting to look at Willie Green a little more close. I'm sussing out him. He's getting sus to me. He's very sus because I'm seeing the same mistakes. I'm seeing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. And I don't believe in the excuse of, oh, wait till we're healthy. You got Brandon Ingram and CJ McCollum and Jonas Valanciunas. Most of the team is back, minus obviously EJ Liddell and Zion. So why are you still losing? Why is your offense still bad? Last year we held it down offensively pretty well without Zion. And now all of a sudden we just can't. We don't know what to do. I mean, we're supposed to be a better team than last year. So what is happening? What is the common denominator? And to me, that is the coach. So what I put here is, right, I feel like at some point Willie has to just adapt. He has to just change. I keep thinking that he just thinks that great energy and great defense resulting in easy offense is the way to go. Like, no, this is not how this goes. You know, nobody's perfect. The game's not perfect. It's a game of runs. Sometimes your defense ain't gonna be there, so you gotta score. Sometimes your offense gonna be there, so you gotta play defense. This team ain't doing both at the same time. They're not doing any of it in a lot of cases. They're not rebounding. They're not playing hard. How many fast break points have you seen over this stretch of losing? A lot.
I'm up. Yeah,
A
the
lot.
other team, not us, but the other team definitely.
And I don't get it because to me it's simple fixes, right? Um, Willie has been this coach for almost, he's a year and a half, almost 2 years in. Um, I get it. Injuries were here last year. We didn't have Zion all last season, and we went to the playoffs. We figured it out. We sucked for the first half, and we figured it out. We were amazing for the first half, and now we suck. We can't figure it out. And to me, that just shows me that we have a coach that refuses to adapt. And to me, we have a team that may just be more unserious than we would like to admit. Because I don't see anybody who's upset in the locker room. I don't see anybody who's like, oh, man, we got to get better. I'm looking at Jimmy Butler calling out his team after going on a 4-game losing streak. We went on a, 10-game losing streak? And nobody said a word? And nobody said a word on this team? No one? I mean, I get it. Brandon Ingram's a soft-spoken guy. But, I mean, I'm not losing 10 games and then no one's going to hear from me. Like, no, we're going to have a talk about this as a team. We have CJ, who's trying to be the cool uncle to everybody. Like, no, man. Like, come on, get these young guys right. Like, come on. And, Willie has been doing the same thing over and over again. He hasn't figured out rotations yet. I mean, this is like the same team as last year almost. We have most of the pieces still, and you still can't figure out rotations. I don't understand why. You're still not starting an actual point guard. Just start Dyson at this point, right? Actual point. We got him back. Start him. I just don't know what to tell Willie Green at this point. I mean, I'm looking at lineup game lineup rotations. They're bad. Mismanagement of minutes, right? We saw him take out Jonas last game. They go on a run, and then he's like, "Oh, dang, maybe I should keep Jonas in." Nah, I'm keeping him out for a little longer. Run continues, then we put him in. Oh my God! Now we're coming back. I think this was the game before the Knicks. Who we played? We played
The Raptors.
We played the Raptors, and that's when that was a moment to me where it's like, all right, well, we lost the game. Like we could have came back. We were close, but we just kept going away because we sat Jonas down. We need to have him in. The lack of game is situational awareness. I have seen many times where we just don't take advantage of mismatches because Willie just will not put in the people. Or there's a game where, all right, this is a Willie Hernan Gomez game. And he's like, nah, I'm going to roll with Jackson Hayes. Or it will be a Jackson Hayes game. He's going to say, no, I'm going to roll with just Larry Nance and Jonas Valanciunas today. That's not enough. Game flow ignorance. I see the guy just let runs happen without calling timeouts way too much, and I just feel like you come on now. Like this is not being young as an excuse. You play basketball, you've been in the league, you should know how this goes. You need to know how to read the game. Lack of in-game adjustments. That's probably my biggest thing with Willie right now. I don't see him adjusting in game. I just always see us looking bad, and then during the fourth quarters, the "you gotta fight" speech again. Like, bro, we're down by 20. Then we come back down 5 and like 3 minutes left, and then we just lose by 10 again. And then at the press conference, I got to hear, "Whoa, we just didn't play great defense. We just sucked. We didn't make our shots. We got beat up. We're moping." Like, no, man. Like, this is every loss you're saying this. Like, stop pouting as a team and let's get going. Bad defensive rotations. We over rotate and over switch on everything. We've been doing that since he's been a coach. You don't need to do that. Like, it's as simple as this. If you got Herb out there, if you got Trey out there, if you got Dyson out there, they all can play defense. Lock them on to somebody and say, this is your man. Right? Teams have been killing us in the pick and roll because they know how we switch. And we just haven't figured out a pick and roll yet. And it's the simplest thing to stop. And as a coach, you still don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, it's just unacceptable at this point. We look like the Rockets out there. The offense is so bad and stale. I saw last night we had this play. Wasn't even a play. Everybody ran to the left side of the court, and we just left BI by himself to dribble into a triple team. Then Jonas decides to cut into the triple team. He gives the ball to Jonas. Now Jonas is like, and then Brandon goes to the left where everybody's at. You got 4 guys on the left, 1 guy in the middle, Jonas, with 4 next defenders around him. And then Jonas turns the ball over because he's trying to pass to the right side of the court and nobody's there. Like, what type of offense is that? Like, I don't know. Willie Green is sus to me right now. I'm not going to get too deep into it. But as far as the individual players themselves, CJ, man, if that wrist or finger, whatever, is killing you that bad, you got to sit because he is not good at the moment. And I can't keep having these stretches of CJ being good and then being terrible. I cannot have it. It's either you're going to be good or you're going to be bad. Figure it out. And if you're not going to be good, you got to help somewhere else. And he's a liability on defense right now. But I'm not mad at CJ. I'm just saying, you know, BI is trying his hardest, but I'm tired of looking at this offense. Our offensive scheme right now is, hey, go get a tough shot and try to make the tough shot. I want you to shoot contested. I want you to shoot over 2 people. I want you to shoot over 3 people. Brandon Ingram and CJ will dribble 15 seconds to the shot clock, and then now we're sitting here trying to squeeze through 3 defenders to get to the mid-range spot. Like, why? Why are we trying? Why is that the shot that we consistently take? And as a coach, I'm mad. You know, I'm hot. Like, all right, guys, can we stop with the mid-range thing? I get it. Y'all love that shot, but if it ain't open, don't take it. Yeah, you're going to make them sometimes. Y'all are great players, but let's get some open shots. Let's get some open shots. So the offense is terrible. We have no type of flow. We have no ball movement. I don't know what happened. And my biggest theory is the teams in the league have a lot of game film on Willie Green and company. And I think that they know how we operate. They know how we switch on pick and rolls. They know what our weakness is because everyone can see it. Rebounding, paint defense, things like that. If you just have some simple ball movement, you run some screens in some right spots, you're going to get open shots every time. That Cavs game to me was the biggest indicator of our weaknesses. That team, if we had to play them in 7, we'll lose 7 times. I'm going to keep it a buck because we ain't stopping down Mitchell because we didn't have Dyson playing that game. But maybe Dyson's playing, it's a different story. But CJ ain't stopping. CJ ain't stopping that boy. Kira ain't stopping that boy. And Evan Mobley and Jared Allen just too damn tall. We have nothing for it. Nothing. Because Jackson Hayes ain't going to do anything for you. Larry Gomez ain't going to do nothing for you. And Jonas sure ain't going to do nothing for you. The boy got lead feet now, right? Which leads me to my last point. I don't know what the hell happened to Jonas Valanciunas. That is not Jonas Valanciunas. That is not. That is Steven Adams in a Jonas Valanciunas costume. And even Steven Adams has been doing better this year in some cases. He plays the role better. He gets out the way. He just gets out of the way. He sets screens for Ja and gets out the way. I think Willie Green has completely mismanaged Jonas because I've been a big believer in Jonas. I think Jonas can be a 3rd option, a 2nd option if you really let him, just let him grow, right? And I saw a tweet that explains it perfectly. Whenever you mismanage a player, it starts to show up in their confidence, and then that shows up in their play. Jonas last year was a big piece of this offense. The guy was dropping 20 and 10s consistently, right? It felt like a fever dream, I guess, compared to now. Now he's super slow. He's not even that old to really be saying that he's regressed because of age. So he's just slow on defense. He just lumbers around. He's not even taking as many 3-point shots. I thought he was a great center for us because he can knock down 3 at like a 33-ish% clip. That's good enough for my center. All right, I just need you to go stand in the corner because Zion, he's gonna take about 3 guys with him. He kicks it out because Zion got some ball IQ when it comes to passing. And he got some vision. He'll kick it out to Jonas in the corner. That's wide open, right? I think like a Kristaps Porzingis is a perfect guy for this team, right? Now, Kristaps ain't that great of a rebounder or another paint defender, but still, he's a guy who can stretch the floor. And when Zion's out there, you need to have people that stretch the floor, and you might just need to have a guy who can do some simple paint defense. But I just think Jonas has been mismanaged. There's been too many times where we need to have a Jonas game because CJ might be feeling down, or when BI was out. We did not have nearly as many JV games as we should have when BI was out. And to me, that's complete coaching because there's been times where I'm like, all right, these guys can't guard Jonas, but Jonas ends up with like 8 points and like 9 rebounds. Like, what What is this? Like, feed this man. The Sun series last year in the playoffs, right? We fed Jonas, and you've seen what he did on DeAndre Ayton. He was pretty decent in the paint, pretty decent. Why don't you keep doing that? You know, Zion ain't here. Let the man eat. Let him cook. So Willie Green to me is the biggest problem because now we're healthy. So I'm not using, well, mostly healthy. Larry Nance just went down. He's going to be out for forever now. I know how this team is. If you're in a boot, you're out for forever. So I'm not using the healthy excuse because at some point you just gotta move on from that healthy thing because this team has proven that it's not going to be a healthy team ever. You know, your big three might not ever play the majority of the games together. That has been proven. I think at this point we've gotten a large enough sample size of time to understand Zion, Bi, and CJ are not going to be on the court at the same time for a lot of games. That's just facts. Maybe you give it one more year. I'm not saying trade by. I'm just saying, like, before you make like a big move to maybe get like a bigger center, I'm just gonna throw DeAndre Ayton out there, for example. Maybe that's what, you know, this guy right here, David Griffin, wanted to do. Wanted to just see how the team plays when they're healthy. So, all right, we're gonna wait till next year. We're gonna wait till the playoffs, see how we gel when everybody's healthy, and then we figure out what we do in the summer. Like, but you know, I'm not using the healthy excuse because everybody was all hands on deck minus Zion last night, and we sucked. We still sucked. We looked like the same team minus Zion, minus Bi. We looked terrible. And at this point, you might as well give Zion the MVP because if the team looks like this minus him, then that is the most valuable player. That is the definition of the most valuable player. The man had us at 1 seed, and if he was carrying this to 1 seed, much respect to Zion. Give him the MVP right now. But to end this little section that I'm going off here, Willie Green has got to get better. He has got to stop with the excuse of being young and all of this. Adapt. Relax. Just be a coach, man. Like, draw some schemes up, you know, talk to some people, ask for help, whatever. Just, you can't keep having this like this, and there is no urgency in this team right now. I'm not seeing it. It's just, oh, we lost. Man, it's not going to be back in March, man. We'll be all right. Like, no, win some games. Stop trying to go just 500 or hovering around 500. Go win some games. Like, try to help out your team as much as you can. Win games even when you have people down. So that's all I got, man.
Well, I gotta say, well, now I don't think we have any time for any more topics because you definitely took up all the time. But
Hey, man, I wasn't here last week, but I had to get the thoughts.
I know
Man.
you had to get off some things that was on your chest. I understand, but everything that you said, I agree with. I have nothing to really disagree with. I mean, touched on everything. I don't have to bring up any other questions regarding the Pelicans. You touched on it all. You did it, Calvin. But before we go, I just want to touch briefly on what they call the Great American Race that just happened last Sunday, the Daytona 500. So, as many people know, I am a NASCAR fan, and if you are not, I recommend getting into it because it is relatively interesting to watch. But there is no Louisiana drivers. There isn't. The last time I think there was a Louisiana driver was Lake Speed in like the early 90s. But anyway, nevertheless, so Ricky Stenhouse Jr. took home the checkered flag this past Sunday, and he is from Olive Branch, Mississippi. That's the closest Louisiana will get. I just wanted to highlight that before we go. And yeah, I think we touched on everything that we need to touch on today, Calvin. And I mean, unless before we go, briefly, is there anything that you wanted to say before we head on out?
After seeing where Alvin Kamara's trial is going to go, well, now he's going to trial. Clearly he did it. That video is plain as day. So yeah, this is not looking great. I feel like he should have settled. Just pay the money. I would have just paid the money because I knew I did it. I know I'm on camera. Whoever his lawyers are, Jesus Christ. I hope they have the Jordan flu game about to happen for this man because it ain't looking too great. But draft a running back now, Saints. All right, because I think I have to hop on the train now because after seeing that, we might be out Alvin Kamara for 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks. So,
I agree. I agree. I mean, and there's a good one that just so happened to play at Tulane and is from Ponchatoula, Louisiana. But we are out of time, thanks to Calvin. But hey, I think he touched on a lot of great things. We got a lot of great conversations going throughout this podcast. So we will be back next week. So with that being said, I am Logan Graffia. He is Calvin Rond. We shall see you next time on another edition of The Hit.